All right, we have previewed every single Power 4 conference so far, but we still have one more Power 4 team to preview. That is the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Before we dive into that, Dalton, want to tell you guys right now, the college season, the NFL season is only weeks away. Get the best subscription in sports right now. PFF Plus is $40 off from now until August 7th. So not a lot of time to take advantage of this massive sale right now. We have the best fantasy tools on the planet, the best betting tools on the planet, all the data and insights that every single NFL and college football team use. Every FBS team is a client for PFF. So take advantage of it right now to win your bets, to win your fantasy leagues, and become the smartest fan in your friends' group chats as well. So again, data on every single player in college football and the NFL is available with a PFF Plus subscription, in addition to all the best tools to take advantage, to put some more money in your pocket, honestly, to even make up for the subscription that you're going to be paying for PFF. Well, you make even more money with your fantasy winnings and your betting winnings too. So again, subscribe.pff.com, use code EARLYBIRD to take advantage of that sale from now until August 7th. The description, it's the links in the description below as well if you guys want to just click that. Again, take advantage of it right now because this sale is not lasting very long. All right, let's dive into Notre Dame now, Dalton. Notre Dame, their back was against the wall in week 2 after they lost to Northern Illinois. In order to make the playoff, Notre Dame had to win 10 straight games to make the playoff. They were not getting in with a 10-2 record given their strength of schedule, and they did that. And then after that, they beat Indiana in the playoff in the first round. They beat Georgia in the quarterfinal round. They beat Penn State in the semifinal round to make it all the way to the national championship game where they lost to Ohio State. It was Notre Dame's first national title game appearance since 2012. And even with a brand new starter at quarterback, Dalton, the blueprint from last year's team is the same exact blueprint as this year's team.
Absolutely. What they want to do is get out ahead of teams with their elite rushing attack. You see they're the number 2 running back unit in football. When you're talking about the trio of Jeremiah Love, Aeneas Williams, and
Jadarian Price,
thank you, and Jadarian Price. I was like blanking on it for a second there. When you have Love, Price, and Aeneas Williams in that backfield, and I know last year they may not have the same rushing threat at quarterback as they did with Riley Leonard, but this is a dynamic rushing attack. They're looking to get ahead of teams in games, and then they want to shut out opponents' passing games with elite coverage. Marcus Freeman has always been known for that with his defenses. Elite coverage. This is one of the best secondaries in college football. It's what got them through those teams, especially those playoff games last year, right? When you talk about, okay, they're facing Curtis Rourke in Indiana, shut them down. They're facing, it was a backup quarterback in Georgia, but they still had to shut it down against Georgia in the secondary, and then against Drew Aller in Penn State when they didn't allow a wide receiver to catch a single pass. This team's secondary on defense and their rushing attack on offense, it's basically all intact from last year. It's going to be the same formula that it was to get all the way there last year.
Yeah, our number 2 running back unit in the country, you can make an argument it should be number 1, and then also the secondary is our number 3 secondary in college football going into next year. They have superstars both at running back and in that secondary. Are going to break down very soon too. That's why they made the national title game last year, was because of their running backs and because of their secondary, and it's why they can make another deep run in 2025. Now the question mark is inexperience at quarterback, because Riley Leonard, of course, now with the Indianapolis Colts, they'll be having a brand new quarterback in 2025. Their backup quarterback, Steve Angeli, transferred to Syracuse, so it'll either be redshirt freshman CJ Carr or redshirt sophomore Kenny Minchey to start for Notre Dame. Carr has 0 dropbacks in his career. He's the current favorite to win the job right now. Kenny Minchey only has 3 dropbacks in his career. Both of them were 4-star recruits out of high school. And Dalton, CJ Carr was the number 6 quarterback coming out in the 2024 high school class. So very, very talented kid, just not a very experienced one.
Absolutely, and that's the case with both of them, right? And they're obviously still declaring this an open competition between the two, and they each have their advantages. I think C.J. Carr has a more classic delivery. He's a little more natural pocket passer who throws with more touch, and I think ideally for me, he's the guy that for Mike Denbrock and all of the slot fades and all the touch passes that are in this offense, I think Carr is better equipped to make those throws. Now, that's not to say Minchey's out of it. Minchey's got a strong arm, and he's a little bit better of an athlete. He adds adds more to the running game than Carr does. And there's a chance that you see Minchie a good amount, even if Carr wins the job, because of what he can add in the option game, the read option game with him and Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price in that backfield. So they both, I think, obviously have a use. But from what I saw in the spring game, I think C.J. Carr is the favorite. I think they've been preparing for this moment. And you have to remember, this is a contrast from the last 2 years. 2 years ago, they brought in a veteran from the ACC and Sam Hartman. Last year, a veteran from the ACC and Riley Leonard. Now they're starting fresh. And I think the idea, the whole time, the blueprint was, we're going to get C.J. Carr ready to go. We're going to get him ready to learn Mike Denbrock's system. I think he can make all the right throws in this system. Either one of them that starts, it's going to take a few games to really get warmed up and get in the groove of, okay, now you're a starting quarterback. But I think there's a chance to see both guys. But if it was me right now, I would probably start Carr. I think he's a better fit for Mike Denbrock's offense.
Yeah, C.J. Carr actually comes from a lot of legendary names in college football, all of them from Michigan, too, which is a rival of Notre Dame, which is ironic because his grandpa is Lloyd Carr, who is a legendary Michigan coach. He went 122-40 as the coach from 1995 to 2007. He won the 97 national title as well. His maternal grandfather is Tom Curtis, who was a All-American and a College Football Hall of Fame safety for Michigan. Jason Carr, who was CJ's dad, was a quarterback at Michigan in the 90s, and his mom, Tammy, also graduated from Michigan. So all these Michigan connections, every Michigan fan thought, oh, CJ's a lock to go to Michigan. Nope, goes to Notre Dame, and now it could be the starting quarterback for the Fighting Irish. So I can't wait to watch him in his first year there. I cannot wait to watch Jeremiah Love, though, Dalton. Jeremiah Love is the best running back in college football, a top 5 player in college football going into next year. He was the second most valuable running back in the country last year, according to PFF's wins above average metric. 91 PFF grade, was 5th among all running backs in the country. He also forced a missed tackle on 38% of his carries. That was second among Power 4 running backs this past season. 6.9 yards per carry, third among Power 4 running backs this past season. He's a fantastic athlete. He can run by defenders, he can run through defenders, or he can hurdle defenders too. Jeremiah Love is easily, in my opinion, the best running back in college football. And Dawn, I know it's kind of sacrilegious here in PFF. I would be pretty surprised if he is not a first-round pick in the NFL draft.
Yeah, and I mean, the only reason we think he may not win a Heisman Trophy necessarily is because you have Jadarian Price, you have Aeneas Williams, and Love doesn't necessarily need the super high volume, right, like an Ashton Jeanty or somebody like that got for Notre Dame to succeed, right? I think this year they might look at, and we got to remember last year he had the ankle injury in the playoff, really wasn't much of a factor in the playoff, so keeping him fresh for later in the season I think is going to be a premium. But when you talk about Love, there's just such an explosive factor to his game. When he turns the corner, especially around the edge, he's gone. We saw it, the 98-yard touchdown against Indiana. I think when you usually talk about a running football team, you think about ball control, time of possession. This team is so explosive, and the first reason is because of Jeremiah Love and the breakaway speed that he has.
So Notre Dame has a top 10 player in college football on offense and a top 10 player in college football on defense. And a guy, Dalton, that really came out of nowhere last year.
And they've got your number one cornerback in college football. And if you want to be a great secondary, you got to have great corners. And it was so amazing to see in his true freshman year last year. Leonard Moore, after Benjamin Morrison got hurt, stepped in, and it felt like Notre Dame never missed a beat, right? This guy was the third most valuable corner in the country behind 2 first-round picks, Travis Hunter and Jahdae Barron. He had the third best man coverage grade in the country, despite the fact that Notre Dame played more man coverage than just about anybody. 60% of the time Notre Dame was in cover 1 last year. They lined up in press man, and they won the battle, and the one who won battles the most often was Leonard Moore. He's just an unbelievable talent, 6'2", already a master of man coverage. I don't expect this defense, and I know they lost Al Golden to the NFL, and they've got Chris Ash coming in as a defensive coordinator, but if I was Chris Ash, I'm not changing a darn thing. I'm lining these guys up in press man coverage. Leonard Moore, Christian Gray on the other side, but Moore is lights out. It's you look at some of the numbers, it's not even worth throwing at him.
42 targets in single coverage last year. 16 allowed catches in single coverage last year. Just insanely amazing true freshman year from Leonard Moore. I think it's up there with the freshman years we saw from Derek Stingley Jr., Will Johnson. Ben Morrison had a great freshman year too at Notre Dame. It's up with those kind of guys. He's going to be, I think, a first-round pick in the 2027 NFL draft. And in my opinion, he's already the best cornerback in college football right now. All right, Dalton, the bottom line for Notre Dame, their win total is set at 10.5 right now. Is this another national title contender. Will they go over or under 10.5? What is the bottom line for Notre Dame?
I'm going to give them the over because I think they will probably be favored. The A&M game is the one that's shaky, but they get it at home. I think they're going to be favored in every game they play this year. And I know week 1 they're at Miami. If they get by those first 2 games, if they start 2-0 with the new situation they have at quarterback, I would bet pretty well. I know they always have one slip up here and there at Notre Dame. That's been a theme the last few years. But I would bet if they start 2-0, they're probably going undefeated at that point, because if they've won those 2 games with a quarterback in his first 2 starts, then I think nothing's stopping them. I think for sure, even if they lose one of those, I think they're a playoff team more likely than not. The question of national championship contention just comes down to the quarterback. Is it C.J. Carr? Is it Kenny Minchey? How much will they be involved in the offense? How much are they going to be relied on? Because there's always a moment, even if you've got a great running game and inexperienced, there's always 2 or 3 moments throughout the season where you go, okay, I need a drive from you. I need a 2-minute drill. It's going to come at some point. Maybe it comes week 1 against Miami or week 2 against Texas A&M, right? So there's going to come those moments. And I think one thing that we need to mention too, I like this receiving core better than I did last year. You got another year of Jordan Faison, another year of Jaden Greathouse, and then 2 transfers I really like coming in. Malachi Fields from Virginia and Will Pauling, I think, is a very good fit for this system. He really didn't get a ton of opportunities at Wisconsin. He was their best receiver, but Wisconsin's passing game and the quarterback situation was rough. So I think Will Pauling in the slot even, they've got a group of 4 receivers that's really good. There's a lot of Notre Dame fans excited about Eli Raridan at tight end too. So they've got a really nice group of weapons in the passing game. I would argue even better than last year. It's just going to be a matter of where the quarterback situation gets them, how far it can get them, or if it's going to take one more year to get them back into that national title game for another shot. It's going to depend on the quarterback. So I'm going to take the over 10.5 there. I've got to make it. I think they're going to make the playoff.
Yeah, they're built really well for the future too. Leonard Moore coming back for another year. Whoever's playing quarterback will probably be back for another year too. The offensive line is very young but very talented too. So yeah, they're built well for the future. Anthony Tresh is still on the sidelines for Notre Dame. That's a big get for them. Anthony Tresh, former PFF great, here now is the director of analytics there at Notre Dame. But yeah, I think Notre Dame it's still easily a top 10 team in the country. I'm still picking to make the college football playoff. I could still see them as a national title contender if C.J. Carr or Kenny Minchey is the real deal at quarterback. Because listen, as good as Riley Leonard was at times last year, he was a little limited as a passer. There's a chance that Notre Dame actually upgrades in terms of passing ability at quarterback this year. I liked what I saw from C.J. Carr in that spring game. I think he's a very, very talented kid. Like you mentioned, that receiving core is a top 10 receiving core in the country, in my opinion. I'm a big fan of Notre Dame this year. I'm also going over. I think they'll win at least one of those first 2 games against Miami and Texas A&M. And then after that, it's pretty smooth sailing for Notre Dame. I think the rest of the year. There's a couple decently hard games like USC could be interesting. Boise State is probably the favorite out of the group of 5 to make the playoff once again this year. Of course, Syracuse later on in the year too. Kind of tongue in cheek for me as a Syracuse alum, but. I mean, besides the first 2 games, I think Notre Dame, there's a stat actually that Notre Dame is one of a few schools in the country that's favored in every single game.
Yeah,
this year.
I think if I had 3 questions for them, if there was 3 maybe little things, kinks in the armor that we're looking at here. One is obviously the quarterback situation. That's the big one. 2, there's some turnover on their interior offensive line. They lost a couple of veteran guys inside. And then 3, can they get a pass rush going when they send just 4? Now, so often they're sending 5 and they're blitzing, and that was under Al Golden. Again, we'll see if Chris Ash keeps it kind of the same aggressive manner that they had it last year. But can they get home with 4 if they needed to drop 7? Can they get home with a 4-man rush? But I still expect them to play a lot of man coverage and blitz a lot and create a lot of pressure. But the quarterback situation is obviously the big one that we're going to be monitoring through the preseason and even into the season. I mean, you got big games starting. Your 2 biggest games of the year are starting right out in the first 2 weeks. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on whether it's Carr or Minchey out there. A lot of pressure to win at least one, if not both of those first 2 games.
The one thing I'll say, at least you have Miami week 1, then they have a bye week 2, and then Texas A&M.
You get a chance to evaluate.
At least you have a week in between those 2 games to get ready for it. But yeah, the first 2 games of the year are the biggest ones for Notre Dame, and Dawn and I both think this is still a contender to make the national title game again, and definitely a contender to make the college football playoff once again. But I want to thank you guys. This is our final of the 68 Power 4 teams that we previewed this offseason. You guys have been amazing watching almost every single one. They've done much better than we thought they would, honestly, this offseason. So I want to thank you guys for that. We're done with team previews right now. We will be covering the group of 5 and their own videos and talking about just who's going to win the conference, not necessarily going over every single team in the group of 5. But We're getting back to 2 episodes a week now on this show, doing a Monday episode and a Thursday episode, kind of wide-ranging, all-encompassing college football with only a few weeks left in the season. So this Monday, which should be actually tomorrow when this video comes out, we'll be going live with the 10 true freshmen that you got to know in the 2025 college football season. But again, thank you guys for watching all these videos. Take advantage of that PFF Plus sale because it's not lasting very long right now. Take advantage of it right now with a link in the description below. But we'll see you guys on Monday for our next episode of the PFF College Football Show. Hey, thanks for watching another episode of the PFF College Football Show. Please make sure you guys subscribe to the channel.
Also, subscribe to PFF Plus at subscribe.pff.com for all of the same data and grades that we use in our show, plus fantasy tools, betting tools, and our mock draft simulator.